Inside Story Uganda. Real source of political
aftertaste after this election that is actually prompting members to raise queries. We will be asking a number of questions tonight. How can NRM pick up pieces from this very divisive election and move on to ensure cohesion in the party? Does the opposition have anything to learn? And besides, could this be a snippet of what the country should expect in yet a looming election coming in 2026? Welcome aboard. I'll be joined by Honorable Salam Musumba, the proud lady from Kamuli, Busoga, and a founding member of the People's Front for Freedom. Major Okwiri Raboni, Director Mobilization at the NRM Secretariat. Honorable Jimmy Akena, the President of the UPC, not yet ousted. Well, there are quite a number of issues, internal issues within the UPC. Frontliner and hopefully an incoming MP for older persons, Honorable Ofono Opondo, all beaming with excitement after winning. And together with Honorable Semuju Ibrahim Nganda, the Secretary General of the PFF. Good to have you all and a very good evening. First, I must congratulate you. I thought this was a joke, but I'm surprised it's come true.
I hope you are sincere with the congratulations. I know you did give me fuel, therefore there is no reason why you should say that you thought it was a joke. Because you gave me fuel. I
hope the IGG won't come for you declare your cesses.
I'm no longer a government official. It is all the government officials who should declare if it is beyond. If it is beyond 200,000, and what you gave me was truly beyond 200,000.
You were on set, and I thought you were just making a big joke. I'm surprised you made it. But that aside.
No. I did explain to you on this show that after 26 years as a spokesperson of the movement secretariat, presidential task forces, 5 of them since 2001, spokesperson of NRM since 2004 to 2016, and the government spokesperson director media center 14 years. I needed to move on. I had thought I would move on into Kapele Byong, but my other colleagues said, no, you can't just go. You keep around, and I did keep around. They persuaded me, and they poured in some little money, some resources, because I was not prepared, so I had not saved money for elections. I had saved money for farming and other businesses.
Do we imagine you're now You're now going to join the eating club?
I have been part of the eating club, if you didn't know, because for all these 26 years, I've been riding a vehicle every 5 years, a new car, chauffeur-driven, fuel, serviced by the taxpayers' money. So I've been part of. And so...
Maybe you were eating crumbs then, now you're getting to the high table.
Well, you can't speak for the government and eating crumbs, but I'm modest. I am modest. Now, so I said, let me go in. And of course, I have better high name recognition, face recognition, because of these offices, but also because of I'm among the few people in Uganda who enjoy multiple media platforms. I write in the newspapers, I speak on radio, I have quotable quotes, and I speak on TV.
Well, I want us to get straight to the crux of our debate tonight. You were in the tent and witnessed all the drama. What were your biggest highlights in the SEC elections?
SEC elections, there was no surprise, because once we called for nomination, expression of interest, particularly at the level of the second National Vice Chairperson, female, the person who sought this seat, the Right Honorable Annette Amon, in my view, picked form properly and politically too. The person who has been sitting in SEC for the last 20 years Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, for some reason, found that an offense or offensive to her. And she began throwing superlatives, which in my view was uncalled for. Particularly knowing that Honorable Kadaga for the last 39 years has been among the vanguard women promoting the upliftment of women and bringing them to the public fora in leadership. I had thought that she should have taken that in stride when a younger person seeks the highest office. You encourage them, even when they are in competition with you. I thought she should have done that. Unfortunately, she took a different direction.
Yeah, her contention was, how come Chigongo? Chigongo's position is ring-fenced. While
Chigongo, in this particular election, there were 5 people who picked nomination papers against Chigongo. And I can now tell you this on record. Many of them are a little younger people. When they went to SEC, and they had told their friends that they wanted to go there so that they have direct audience with the president and the leadership of NRM. And then they asked for jobs. And they said, Mr. President, SEC members, we have come to appear before you because we wanted an opportunity so that we can put our plight. And when they were told, okay, if that was the main reason why you are studying, what do you say now? Now that you have met us, then they said, we are going to withdraw because we have achieved the first step. We have met you. And they willingly withdrew. And right
after ransoming the president.
Well, they attempted ransom. I don't know whether they will achieve, because there were about 3 or 5, I don't know whether each of them will achieve what they wanted. I'm not so sure. But that was it. And in our NRM politics, actually, not just for Chigongo, even when I was running for this election, by the way, you get somebody who is not even known in a sub-county also picking nomination form. Now, when you reach the register, he knows Ofono Pondo has been a spokesperson of government, probably has money, and then he comes and says, can you give me 500,000? Can you give me 300,000? So that behavior has come up in the NRM politics, and I think in other parties as well, probably. So
what happened was typically expected.
The
violence, the bribery, the mudslinging.
First of all, this is not the first time. You remember when Audrey Rwavogo picked nomination forms in 2016, I think, 2015. I think 2015, yes, to contest for Vice Chairman Western. You remember our uncle, Major General Matai Charagonza, made a lot of noise. And eventually the president, having other relations with Odrek, compelled Odrek to withdraw and leave it for Matai Charagonza. When Kiwanda came against Naduri, Naduri also made noise. Apparently we have leaders in NRM who do not appreciate the tendencies, the principles of NRM. Because NRM will say, whoever says they are NRM during the day, unless otherwise, we take them so. So for Right Honorable Kadaga to have raised the issue of Anita coming yesterday, what would you say about the late Jacob Bolanya? He also came and rose to Deputy Speaker, rose to Speaker, rose to Vice Chairman, Northern. What would you say about people who were shooting at NRM and NRA, even when NRM was in the government? Well, as soon as they abandoned the war path, they come into cabinet. What would you say about Honorable Mao, who in the last election ran against President Museveni? What would you say about a UPC member of parliament who is a minister in the government of Uganda, but she has not renounced her UPC-ship or UPC membership? So this has been the way NRM is harmonizing the politics of Uganda.
I want to shift to another guest, but what particularly stood out for you with a lot of concern?
What stood out for me was that over-commercialization of politics, particularly by the incumbents, and candidates who are coming from the business side, and then there are those whose source you don't know. And I think our failure as a party, we let down our own party, we let down our membership, we let down the country. We have failed at the initial stages to stop, to crack the whip, even where there is evidence. So for me, that was the highlight. And then, of course, the visible extortion by the voters. In this election, in that number, you could see that voters put a price tag. Somebody says, in my district we have 7 voters. Each of my voters want 300,000. Now you see, but in number here, our rules do not allow us to distribute money. And you say, but if I give you this money, there are cameras here. Even if you had it and you are willing. So on both sides, we the candidates, or I can say we the leaders, and because the people who were in Namboli were all leaders. Because they were people who had been elected, the least position, they had come from a sub-county. The overwhelming majority were people who had been elected up to the district level. They were the ones asking for this extortion. And then we leaders were also promoting, I think, weakness in what do you stand for. And so we cut corners. You think that by giving money, by competing in how much, like those guys in entrepreneurship, where I went to Kapchorwa, and I found a candidate who was seeking chairmanship of entrepreneurship national. They previously had gone there. For them, they were having 5 delegates in the district. He had given 1 million shillings. The day I arrived at 2. His competitor came in the morning. And when he was told his rival had given 1 million, he put 200,000 addition. So he gave 1.2. Even if this money was legit, because there are things we must spend on. You must spend on hiring a venue. You must spend on refreshment. You must spend on probably transport reimbursement. Now, if you look at young people, even women, old people, somebody comes to your meeting 40 kilometers away, is meeting you the first time. Surely, that kind of spending probably is legitimate.
Thank you. Honorable Akena, before I bring you on board, I need to tell our viewers, our audiences on social media, on TikTok and YouTube, that we are now shifting to Afro Mobile, so you can get there and continue watching the show. Honorable Akena, what are your big takeaways from the entire NRM electoral process?
I don't know where to start from. You see, when I take it in the context of, these are the people who claim to have gone to the bush because of an election being rigged. And what we have seen from the primaries, the levels of violence, the theft, the bribery, opened, something which nobody can deny. The whole country has seen openly being displayed. It's only the president who says we shall investigate. I don't know. On other issues, his intelligence is so perfect, he will probably know what Simuju had for breakfast. But when it comes to this bribery within NRM, we are all blind. But you see, for me, what was missing, or what came out clearly, it both come out in one way or the other. What was missing was direction. You're watching these leaders who are supposed to be leading the country into the future, but I am not getting any vibe of any direction. It's just this internal wrangling, and at the end of the day, NRM has shed this whole notion of ideology, because you're hearing somebody talk about old ideology, new ideology, but it's not defined. What is it that NRM stands for? What is it that NRM is bringing to the people of Uganda today? in 2025, it is not coming out. What comes out clearly, annoying some of the actors and the players, is that they are declaring that they are going to ravage this country of ours without mercy. The resources, where are these resources coming from? The whole process, 72,000 villages. If you take a budget of maybe 100,000 shillings per village, that's 7.2 billion. Now they went through this whole process of register, village elections, parish, all through this thing. Where's the money come from? Those are questions. That this democracy which is supposedly created, we have failed to manage it. This is the 4th national conference of the NRM. 4th. According to their constitution, they are supposed to have at least 2 in a term. So we should be in the 8th.
No, we are wrong. We have at least 1.
No, it says 2. I have read your constitution.
I have been the spokesperson.
You've been the spokesperson.
We have never amended that particular provision.
Just take it from me. I will get it in the course of the show when you want, but at least, but the point which I'm making here is even in the national process, how many times have we postponed the LC1 elections? And the reason given on the floor of Parliament is that we don't have the resources. So people went to the bush claiming elections were rigged. The people who fought the war, many of them were not voters, could not have been voters in the period where the war took place. After this devastation, you go through these years. First of all, 20 years where we are banned from participation. Now this is what you present to Uganda as the fruit of the democratic process. Honestly, to God.
Major Okiri, would we then conclude that at the end of the day, this is typically NRM politics? It's money, blackmail, guns, bloodshed, just for an internal democratic process?
Thank you, Simon, and evening viewers. I'm a bit disappointed by the debate we are having, by how we have set the debate. First of all, the introductory clip seems to have determined that this was a failure. The exercise was a failure, the national conference was a failure. Then secondly, you, the moderator, also is sending a message that everything has collapsed.
Yeah, but it was glaring. It was in full glare.
First of all, we managed to bring 23,000 delegates into the capital, and we were able to manage this process for 2 days. But before that, we had had SEC, we had had NEC, and special interest groups. So the successes were more than the few hitches that we got, which hitches are symptomatic of politics in the global south, where the majority of our people are poor, and some of them don't have the civic competence to manage Western democracy norms and practices. But the prophets of doom who say always that the party is collapsing, that's what they said when Amama Mbabazi stood in 2016. But NRM is still a very, very strong party.
So in this case, the bad overshadows the good?
Not at all, not at all. We who were there and interacted with the delegates and talked to them and ate with them, and there is a lot of optimism about the growing strength of the NRM.
Is this an election you can write home about, really?
It is. First of all, this party has a huge membership, as our register shows, which we recently updated. And the structures of the party are everywhere. That's what people forget, is that in every village we have a committee of 30 people. Uganda has 72,000 villages. So that takes you to about 2.1 million members of the party. And all those people pass through, this was a process, not an event. The conference was a culmination of elections at every level: branch, parish, sub-county, district, then national. And all those processes were carried out efficiently. So, then secondly, what people have forgotten is that you keep talking about transition. The Central Executive Committee, when you look at it now, is made up of younger people.
New guard.
And what you call a tragedy, that the older people have been thrown out, they have been marginalized, is not true. Because not being a member of SEC does not mean you are no longer a member of the NRM and you no longer make your voice heard. So I'm very excited that the new group that has formed SEC, that the new SEC that we have is fresh, vibrant, and they are ready to mobilize for the party.
So you can wish away all the comments, the issues that were being raised.
In fact, very many of us, the senior leaders of the party, are saying that we should have meetings after this to see how we can strengthen the code of conduct and implement it in a more effective way, so that the issue of money and violence can be tackled very, very well.
Yeah, but this is not isolated. Let's start from the primaries. From the primaries, the party never had time to sit down to reflect and perhaps sanitize the process.
Well, we have. But when you have 23,000 delegates in one space, and there are different interests involved, it is normal for people to disagree.
What dogged
and
the party
especially the young
primaries?
people. First of all, the violence that you saw.
Major, what dogged the party primaries is the same that dogged the SEC elections. So that speaks to a pattern.
SEC elections were very smooth. The problem was with the youth, special interest groups. That was the day before yesterday, Tuesday. That's when that violence which you saw, chairs being thrown around and ballot boxes kicked. It was an incident involving the youth elections to the party league. But otherwise, the other organs, we did a good job.
Honorable Semuju, what really stood out for you, and what are the big takeaways for the political discourse of this country?
I think for me, even if I made no conclusion and just listened to the NRM leaders, the Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, what was her conclusion about these processes? The Honorable Chris Wariomunsi, what was his conclusion about these processes? The Honorable Mike Mukola, what did he say about the NRM processes? Because for me, outrightly, I'm going to be accused of bias. So I want to listen more to the NRM. What are they saying themselves about these processes? Ofono Pondo here, I congratulate him as a friend, as a brother. I think his conclusion would have been different if he had not succeeded. That's why he has started with something else, and then the disappointment is at the end. So the disintegration of the politics, because political party processes are supposed to give the country refined, capable leaders with integrity, with knowledge. Because these fellows who are being selected are going to run a country. This is our business, all of us. And these are the fellows that you want to run your business. These fellows who have gone through Anita Mongo, someone else. If you had a private business, would you entrust it with the fellows who are going to run the country? That's what should bother every Ugandan. What should bother every Ugandan, assuming Uganda was a private company, are the sort of fellows NRM is processing. Would you trust any business with these fellows that they run it, even if it is a nursery school? But they are the ones they have brought. And they claim they want to run a country and make it prosperous.
What's wrong with them? For instance, there is the Speaker of Parliament.
For me, I've always put standards. Get a company, successful company like MTN, Airtel. and subject any of these fellows to an interview and see where they will end. They will not even be receptionists. They are now in sake that they are going to run the country, cry for Uganda. Even before you speak about the process that brought them, do they have the capacity to run a country? Because the fight was not just a fight for, but Ofono Opondo has told you, those who are contesting against Moses Chigongo, they wanted jobs. As soon as they appeared before Museveni, they said, we are very happy we have appeared before you. We want jobs.
Sort us out.
Yeah. What has, I have always said as a journalist, I went to cover Parliament in 1998. That's when Monta deployed me there, towards the end of 98. And I saw the NRM front bench at that time. From Wapakaburo, Chintu Musoke, Professor Rugumayo, Professor Kagonyera, the Mushegas, the Mbabas, etc.
And today?
Compare. Nabanja, Anita Mongo. Who are the others that you brought? Ofono Opondo.
I thought you sit with them in Parliament.
No, I'm looking at the ones that you processed yesterday. Compare.
But probably I thought the other ones were higher quality because their mind was also young.
Even today they will, because you see, Ofono Opondo, I have read the answers of Parliament of the Vyanyimas in the 60s, of the 6th Parliament of the Musumbas, and the answer of today. I don't even know why we continue publishing it, because there is nothing to read. So the quality that parties are churning out to run the country is what should worry everybody, because Uganda is our business collectively.
Yeah, but
we should be looking for people.
But fighting in party processes is not exclusively in NRM. I remember when you were at Nambole, there used to be big fights. You remember the contest between Muntu?
You see, it can take time. If you look at the FDC at its inception, and the FDC that eventually collapsed with Nana Ramafabi, there is a difference, a very big difference. That FDC that I admired, that I said I should join, and the one today that is running a briefcase, you will be insane to seek to join it. So for me, that worries me. But all these things have been, so they have not happened by the accident. When Museveni came here, he started by purging the military. All his contemporaries with whom he came from Luwero, I think he has now exhausted and finished all of them. Then he started with the politics, undermining the senior leaders. Unfortunately, the ones who are crying today, because Charlie Gonza was in SEC, Museveni used Wario Munsi to remove him. Maybe Wario Munsi was happy that for me he will keep me there. But this Museveni is like a lion. I've told the people, when you can't befriend a lion. The moment it has nothing to eat, you will be the one next. So Wario Munsi was used to remove Matayo Charigonza. He has also now been removed. Kadaga, who claims to be senior, also joined yesterday. She should ask herself what happened to other seniors. The only constant is Museveni. So the money in this particular election of Ofono Opondo, I saw Museveni saying, I am going to investigate money. Museveni gave Kadaga 800 million. And he said, you go and bribe voters. 800 million.
Are you sure about that?
I am sure. He even told her you can access a helicopter if you want to use it. I don't know how much he gave Anita Among, and he said you can go and fight, and then he was there laughing. So these things are deliberate. They are not isolated. It's not an accident. These fellows who are throwing around money, it is money that the majority of them are accessing, money that should be doing roads, money that should be putting drugs in hospital. So what worries me is that now you have a set of human resource that NRM has prepared, and I have heard Major Okwiro Awon, who was with BSG, complaining against these very things, now rationalizing them. I don't know what he was doing with BSG. You remember when you were being arrested at Entebbe?
Kung Fu.
You cannot, Okwiro Awon, it should be another person. You cannot seek to rationalize these ills. Sooner than later, they will catch up with everybody.
Thank you.
So please wait a second. So the drama that you saw is a drama that is deliberate. It's not an accident. And that's why you saw Museveni there witnessing it, presiding over all this drama until it ended. And things will only get worse. I'm actually surprised that they allowed Ofono-Opondo to go through, because this is not the quality that they want. Should have allowed some other fake person to complete a team. Because
thank you. Honorable Salam, there is a sense that Busoga lost their own. Is Kamuli crying?
Yes, of course we are.
Oh, wow.
Because tell me, who is the highest ranking Musoga in SEC? Just show me.
Musoga? Well,
Do you know anybody of the elected people?
there is a time Anita Among said she's Mama Busoga, the legit Mama Busoga.
I'm talking about a Musoga. Now don't take me there, because that I have to, that I will have.
Is there a Jabadola high ranking in PPF?
Yes,
PFF.
PFF.
there is.
Who's that one?
There's Makoha.
Makoha is a Jabadola.
Tell us.
I'm not aware.
He asked me specifically Busoga.
Yes.
So don't try to vulgarize it. I didn't ask the question. And so there is none. So we are off the table. Okay? Thank you very much.
Were you benefiting from Kadaga's presence or Kadaga's occupation?
So why are we talking about it?
Why is it such an issue?
It is an issue because it was contested. And you're talking about 4 million Basoga at the heart, at the geographical heart of this country. That's why we are important, sir. Okay? You can't write us out. These Japan dollars are how many? How many are you? Maybe 1 million people? No. Pardon?
They are not.
They are not. So if you're talking about representation and a place on the table, 4 million people of us who keep this country and this trade route are off the table. It's not a joke.
Okay, you subjected yourselves to a process and lost. Simple.
This manipulated process, as you have already accepted, it was choreographed. They are looking for weapons. And this is one of the weapons they'll need in the next stage of state capture. Okay? So don't look about human resource. It is about weaponry, human weaponry that they are setting up.
New vibe.
Which is vibe? You know you picked the wrong English.
No.
There's no vibe, my dear. This is thuggery par excellence. Is that what you saw called vibe? Absolute thuggery.
No, we're looking at
Come
new guards
on.
breathing new air
There is
in the party.
nil, sir. You should look at a gentleman and a lady offering themselves to lead, walking through the main door with elegance and dignity. These are guys that are trading in the gutters, looking for thugs to process them through. Do you know how many people's tags were used wrongly? Confiscated. And writing in false people. I have a whole list of them because it's my business. Region by region, what was that?
Is it your business?
It is my business. The health of the democracy, the health of society is my business. Sir, just in case you don't know. I'll also tell you that this, you reap what you sow. Because NRM and its leadership has invested in destroying political parties, in destroying institutions and agencies. They gave very little time. They invested little time into themselves. And so they are picking up the pieces of where they have led other parties to. In destroying, in having their knee on our neck, they were also down. They have nothing to offer with all the money that they have invested.
So if it is a demolition of the NRM, who benefits?
Nobody. Nobody does. Because you see, it is infectious, it is contagious. It's a killer. It's a killer of society. Because if you are not allowing parties to breathe, parties to manage, parties to evolve, and you are worse than them, then you are as bogus as your act. And we must read the riot act to NRM for using state resources. Did you see the police deployment? Did you see the military deployment for an internal party organ? Did you see the investment? Did you see how taxpayers?
Yeah, but don't you find that ironical that Major Okiri Raboni says overall it was a good, well organized?
I'm not going to critique him, because once upon a time he saw what we saw. I spent days with him in London. We are buddies. And so what he's saying is not the truth. It has been repackaged to fit the positioning. But I know that in his heart of hearts, he knows that where we are taking the country is in the wrong direction. And listen, there's no glee about it. Don't think we are laughing at a dead body. No, we are not. Because it's too dangerous for a nation to treat itself nationally, regionally, and internationally. In fact, the people their invited guests must be bewildered at how bogus a so-called ruling party can so badly fail. I've watched those ones of Kenya and of Tanzania. CCM would never do this. Do you know they couldn't even accredit their people on time? Do you know they allowed people without accreditation to access?
Well, Honorable, we can pick it up from there. I found it quite stunning that UPC...
Did you listen to Wariomus?
Yes, and we're going to play.
Wariomus said they had an army of voters moving from one station to another.
Which it was.
Participating, yes. You had ferried an army of voters. They call Usoga, they go and line up.
Yes.
After that, they line up when they call Koboko. No. That's what Wariomus said. He can be played here for you. You are saying, you know, he was lying, or you are saying, you know, that I am misrepresenting him.
I don't know whether he was lying or you are misrepresenting him, because I have not heard him.
So where is your no coming from?
But
you have not heard
I
him.
participated. First of all, you asked me a specific question.
Well, we need to take a very short break, and we'll be
you are really
returning.
laughable
Honorable
now.
Kena should be telling
You are
us
looking bad.
why UPC turned up at the event that they really